Why am I hungry?
Yeah, me too.
What? That dinner was huge.
I know.
Ugh. More chocolate.
Let's go get a Blizzard after this.
No. I'm not gonna be able to drive after this.
Oh, right. I forgot we're drinking. Hi, I'm Evan.
I'm Teddy, and we're the Picture and the Poet.
And this is Conversations with Lola, episode 11.
Correct. For the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about different aspects of the wedding day and breaking them down and giving our opinions and tips and tricks. But a lot of what we talked about really don't apply to small weddings, really intimate weddings. And so that's what we're talking about today.
We love small weddings, and we think more people should have small weddings.
Opinions.
Today we are drinking.
Apparently it's a dry style rosé.
Mm.
It's the French Lola. She's French today. How do you say Lola with a French accent?
Lola.
Oh.
So like it or not, a lot of couples this summer have been forced to consider what a smaller wedding would look like for them. A lot of them were just like surprised at how much they loved having a small wedding.
COVID has really up a lot of stuff, but it's also shown people that small weddings are actually great, and we're happy about that, I guess.
Yeah. So here are 10 reasons why we think you should have a smaller wedding.
The first thing on our list is that you have more venue options. It just makes sense, it's straightforward. The more people that you invite, the bigger the building you're gonna have to house them in. And big buildings are not necessarily easy to come by. And if they are, they're likely gonna be more expensive than smaller places. Does that make sense? That's just plain and simple.
Yeah, you can now start to explore alternative venues that you weren't able to explore before. There's some beautiful areas that are meant to hold different kind of events, but just aren't meant for big weddings. So yeah. Point number 2, it is easier to transport your people from point A to point B if you have to have any transportation involved at all. So with a larger wedding party, or even with a really big guest list, not only do you have to likely have a venue outside the city, then that means you have to hire transportation or a bus or something to get the guests home, or to get your bride.
Which is smart. Thanks for doing that. Don't drink and drive.
But with a smaller venue, you can rely on things like taxis, Ubers.
If you're only transporting a few people, so it's much easier. The next thing on our list is that things don't take as long. Again, this is straightforward. You only have maybe one person or two people to get their makeup done in the morning. That takes less time than having 7 bridesmaids to get their makeup done in the morning.
You don't have all these aunts and uncles and cousins to do family photos. You don't have as big a wedding party, so you're not, those don't take as long.
Maggie and Justin's wedding, they had one person on either side in their wedding party, and our wedding party photos took maybe 15 minutes. And then the rest was just chill, hangout time. She actually exchanged gifts with all of her family. But yeah, it took almost no time at all. We could focus on other things.
Number 4, things are less stressful. Everything that we've mentioned so far, it just takes away from the stress of it. Less people, less commotion, less things to plan or organize, or people to move, or blah, blah, blah. Less ends up with less stress in the end.
If you're a person to get stressed, you'll still get stressed. We're not saying a small wedding's gonna make your life perfect.
No.
Last year, Brianna and Shane, they just wanted to get married. They got married on a Monday. The reason why she chose to get married with just her friends and on a Monday is because she was getting too anxious about everything. It made her stressed out. And so keeping it small, putting on a weekday, it made it a less of an anxiety bomb for her, and she got to enjoy her day. The 5th thing on our list is that things may cost a little less. I don't want to say 100% that it's going to be cheaper, because we don't know you.
People that have planned smaller weddings, often we hear it's oh, I'm surprised that this is still expensive.
Mm-hmm. Feeding people costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you're feeding less people, it costs less money.
But you still have to have the caterer there, and there's still a base fee that you have to pay. So it's not fully scalable.
Ma'am, where are you going? Oh,
Do you want to go to bed?
We find that when people are hosting a smaller wedding, they splurge on certain things. So it doesn't really end up being, oh my gosh, it's thousands and thousands of dollars cheaper, but instead you have some really upscale appetizers, or the wine is incredible. You get to splurge on certain items when you don't have to feed 200 people. Can you hear Lola just loudly drinking water?
It's very aggressive. It gives you more opportunities to be extra creative. Because your finances and your time is less, you have more time, space, and money to be creative with what you do.
You could get married in Vegas and bring 10 people. I mean, not now, but you know what I'm saying? You could just take off with those few people. You could go to the desert. You could,
It's really hard for us to come up with these ideas on the spot of what it means for like to be more creative, because that's really on you, but you're not having to ask the question of like, oh, but I have to move 100 people.
Alicia and Scott's wedding was on a Wednesday, and they were creative with their ceremony location. It was a rooftop in the Exchange District.
They paid $50 for it.
They barely even need to dress it up because it was already gorgeous up there. The next point on our list is that it makes your interactions on your wedding day more, meaningful.
When you have less than 50 people there, you know everyone. You're not having strangers there. They're all people that are important to you. And because you're not being pulled every which way, there's an opportunity for you to say hi and have a conversation with every single person.
Take a photo. That's one thing that we noticed at Ronnie and Charlie's wedding last weekend. And some of their guests had mentioned to me that they were grateful that we were able to stop, take a photo together. And that wouldn't necessarily happen at their original wedding where they had a much larger guest list. They're not meeting someone for the first time on their wedding day. Hello, who are you? Why are you here? And why am I paying so much money to have you have this dinner with us if I don't know you?
The next point is that you and your partner will find yourselves with more time alone together. Like it's your wedding day, but you're also kind of like the quasi-host.
You are the host.
When you're hosting so many people, you'll find yourself like the only time that you'll have alone is when you get to the hotel room at the end of the night. So when you have a small wedding, there's so many more pockets throughout the day where everyone else, everything's fine, everything's taken care of, and you can be alone and you can enjoy it.
Yeah. That doesn't always happen when you have a ton of people that you need to thank for being there, take a photo with, or you know what I mean.
But I remember on our wedding day, we didn't have to hide away to some back room to have some time alone. We just got up from our seats and walked over to the fence behind us where there's some horses, and everyone was busy and fine and happy. And I just remember standing there looking at everything going on. I was like, yeah, it was some good shit. The ninth point, and this, like, everything we've said up until this point kind of like really hits on this, is you get to focus on what matters. When you have a lot of people, that requires a certain logistical element.
Yeah.
Just like the basics of having a toilet. I'm sorry, like everybody poops.
Okay.
When you have 150, 200 people, you need more toilets than when you have 50 people. I just say to make my point, like that is one logistical element.
We only had 50 people at our wedding, and we had a planner, and when we were in our meeting with her, she brought up so many things that I didn't even think of needed to happen on a wedding day. We only had 50 people, and I still was completely stressed out of the magnitude that is throwing a big event like this. It's hard to take a step back from that stress and realize that the only reason why you're throwing this event is to get married. Like, to be together. When you strip away all the drama, you're left with your favorite people in an amazing, beautiful space, and then you're married.
I do want to recognize that everyone has their own reasons to throw a wedding. A lot of people really emphasize, I just want to be married, I want to be together. But for some people, they've been together for 5 years already. And for them, a wedding is a party. Mm-hmm. And so in that case, having 100, 150 people, that matters. And so I get that. I'm not saying that everyone must have a smaller wedding.
Yeah.
But for those who are thinking like, I need to have a big wedding, not because I want it, but because I feel pressure to. We're saying,
Very true.
And the last point deserves a little more wine.
Oh, maybe.
The last point, I admit, is a little bit selfish. But a reason why you should have a smaller wedding is because we absolutely love it. As photographers and videographers, it gives us more space and time and mental space and freedom to be more creative.
And again, if you like candid, if you like that kind of chill vibe, the less people and the less logistics that need to go into the wedding day, the more of that we usually capture.
I will admit that there might be some conversations you might have to have with certain family members, certain friends, that they've been thinking about what your wedding could be and they're expected to be there.
COVID has really helped people have a great excuse to explain why you were not invited to their wedding. I think that attitude that COVID has brought should continue as we move forward. Hopefully COVID goes away, but the attitude continues.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm sorry, it's not
That's
RuPaul's best friend race.
This is not RuPaul's best friend race. Sherlock.
When people love you and care about you, they're the ones that are going to understand. It's like, I understand that this is what you wanted, regardless of whether or not I'm there.
Lola, can you come here?
Do you want to come here?
Lola.
Do you want to come here?
No, she doesn't.
Do you want to come here?
Lola, come.
You want to come here?
Lola. This has been Conversation with Lola.
Bye for now.
Bye.
You know, whenever I wear a turtleneck, you know what
Steve Jobs.
No. I feel like Tom Cruise.
Does he wear a turtleneck?
Yeah. Quite often.
Really?
Yeah.
That's his vibe.
Yeah.
Are you Scientologist?